Walpole United, WFC.
Good evening and welcome to Walpole United, WFC. It's Ben and Matt Saturday Night Live show. Once again, coming to you wherever you are around the world and whatever you may be doing, whether you're watching this on your laptop or your phone, whatever you may be doing. Matt, how are we, pal?
Yeah, good, mate. Just had another chilled one again. Weather's not been great. Football was cancelled, so I thought, you know what, sod it, I'm staying in for the day. Barring a little bit of shopping. Yeah, all good, pal.
No worries, pal. Lanzo, I like the way this guy's always in the comments straight away. I hope we're all right, pal. I hope you had a good Saturday. Who's ready for the game tomorrow? Who's ready for? We're winning the game. Of course we are, mate. Of course we are. We are absolutely winning that game tomorrow. I have every confidence in the team and in Marc Skinner. And speaking of Marc Skinner, that's where we're going to start off tonight's show. Is that he is once again manager of the month. No surprises there for me, really. I think he's very well earned and very well deserved. What do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah, back-to-back awards as well. I think it's important to mention that. He won it for December, he won it for January. And I think, listen, nobody can argue with it, really. I think for all the criticism he got sort of the first, 2-3 months of being in the role, I just think, now he's starting to win people over. And listen, he deserves the credit. I still don't think he's getting enough credit for me. I'm sitting looking and people are still moaning. I'm thinking, well, listen, everybody always has different opinions on the team news. That's fine. That's just football, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And the way to play stuff like that. But I just think to criticize the manager still is a little bit weird for me. We all said, or I shouldn't say we all, because we didn't all, but pretty much everybody on this show, you, me, Gareth, John, Connor, we all said, Mark needs time to implement his strategies and things and to get like a real run together and to get his ideas across. And, that's slowly been coming together since the start of December. And we now sit here mid-Feb in a better position. And I know myself and Rob were talking yesterday after the Chelsea draw and sort of saying, with this sort of since 2022, we've not really lost in the league, have we? So, we're still unbeaten. That looks good. We've got a big game tomorrow, but I just think, give the guy some credit now. He's had a tough start. It's took a while, but he's got there and he fully deserves his manager of the month because at the minute, we've looked solid all over, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Evening, Gareth. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. What colour hair you got this week, mate?
Pink.
Listen, say John Camo, good evening, mate. I hope you're all right. Big up Scott. We're going to get to Leah Galton in a minute, but for Skinner, especially big up Marc Skinner, as you quite rightly mentioned, Matt. Back-to-back manager of the month awards, not just a single manager of the month award, back-to-back. Which is very, very important. And I think it highlights what especially since, like I said last week, especially since the winter break. After we come back from the winter break, it highlights just how good a job that Marc Skinner has been doing for Manchester United. It's red. I thought it might have been.
It's not. It's a shade of pink.
Connor, how are you, my friend? Just Mark. I just think I think it links back to the confidence the guy has as well. Because if you think about it as well, like I keep alluding to over the last couple of shows, is that he's a lot more confident. It's a lot. There's not much babble. When I say babble, I mean you're not there sitting there scratching your head going, "What's he said there?" There's not. I think that was sort of like a maybe at the beginning of the season, maybe a bit of a panicky speech. I've got to say something. I've got to try and justify what I'm doing here. To fans that are already on my back. But now he doesn't have to come out with that sort of ball because things are going very, very well. His approach to games and his ideas and his tactics are absolutely spot on. And I know people are going to point out, yes, we're not winning, like we said last week, we're not winning London, you know. But let's be fair, we're closer than what we are now. And dare I say it, last night's result, well, Friday night's result for us in the Arsenal-Chelsea game is absolutely perfect. That draw, you know, that puts us right back into the driving seat, if you will. Hopefully go and beat City tomorrow. And, mate, we're looking good. We are looking good. And how many times have we been able to say that over the last couple of seasons, you know, that we're looking good, we're looking confident. We could genuinely not only challenge for Champions League spots, we could genuinely challenge for the title. You know, I said this before, Chelsea and Arsenal, they're both not unbeatable. They both can be beaten on any given day. You know, they're not the especially this Chelsea side. I think there is a little chink in their armour. And I think Marc Skinner's ready. He's got his United side there, ready to pounce, you know. And so long as we go out there and beat City tomorrow, you know, and we are ready to pounce, because let's be fair, we've been here before with United. It doesn't matter what, whether it's the men or the women's side or whether it's the under-23s, whenever the opportunity to pounce on teams, we never seem to take it. So we need to make sure we fully take it tomorrow. But going back to Skinner as manager of the month, back-to-back manager of the months, just absolutely sums up what kind of job that he's doing at Manchester United in a minute. He's absolutely flying. And it just goes to show that sometimes you need that little bit of patience with people. You know, yes, it won't work straight away. Yes, it won't work. The ideas won't come to fruition, you know, at a drop of a hat, you know, right off the bat. Sometimes it does work. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But listen, I'm glad he's. You know what? I'm going to say this now live on air. I'm glad he's our manager. And I don't think I wouldn't have any other WSL manager. I really wouldn't. And I'd include Emma Hayes in that, because I think Emma Hayes, in my opinion, is a little bit overrated. You think of how much money she spent on that team, and yet she's still nowhere near winning the Champions League. You know, yes, they might have battered us earlier on in the season. Yes, they might have knocked us out the Conti Cup, but I don't think Emma Hayes is as special as people think. You know, she's got a vast amount of cash being spent on that team over the last decade. She's not won the ultimate prize in football. You know, she's not won the prize that Chelsea fans and I'm sure the Chelsea players want the most. So, listen, let's see where Skinner is in 10 years' time, and hopefully he's a Manchester United manager with very, very many trophies under his belt. But before I get carried away there, and people might say, Ben, what are you chatting? We're going to spin it onto Leah Golton now, because there's a player that's, you know, started off the season very, very slowly. You know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. We know Leah Golton. We know the type of player that she is. We know how good she can be. Are you surprised, Matt, it's took her a little bit of time to start motoring this season?
No, I think, you know, obviously it was widely talked about or rumoured, should we say, that she had COVID and has been struggling from the after effects. Now, obviously we don't know that, but I would assume based on her start to the season, that was probably correct. Although that said, she does tend to start the majority of seasons slow. She has done since, you know, sort of first season in the WSL, really, for me. So I think it's taken the time. She's getting there. We're obviously going to reveal our starting 11s later. But I just think you're seeing Leah's been a confidence player, hasn't she? You know, we've seen when Leah's happy, Leah's on form, and she's always needed that sort of care, especially under Casey. Obviously, Mark's not worked with her for too long, but she was carefully managed in terms of her fitness and her injuries and sort of how she was mentally as well. And I think it's taken a while, but she's slowly, sort of these last couple of months, been getting back to the old Leah, you know, driving at players, getting to the byline, beating players, getting those shots off, you know, and being a real menace, sort of goals and assist wise. So, I mean, I'm not surprised she's got player of the month, because, like I said, you know, January was probably better than December for her. December wasn't bad. It's just I thought she excelled more in January. So, yeah, I think it's always one of them with Leah. You know, if you can keep her fit, she's pretty much unplayable, isn't she? For me, anyway. But yeah, I just think there's nobody, in my view anyway, like her with that left foot. I just think when you've got pace and power and you can whack a ball as well as she does, you know, you've got something special there. Obviously, you know, at times she does have a bits where she sort of, I don't know if goal missing is too harsh, but sometimes where she's not as effective in games, depending on the game or the way it's played, which, listen, that's football, you know, happens to everyone. But I just think now we're starting to get sort of old Leah back and she's finding her confidence and, yeah, you know, more to come, hopefully.
Absolutely. I'm just happy that she's playing best football again, you know. And sometimes I think with Leah, it does take a little bit of time. She's been carrying knocks, or she's not quite right, you know, whichever way, whether it's headspace, whether it is carrying knocks, or whether she just struggled to get used to Skinner's ideas, Skinner's styles straight away, maybe buy into his philosophy, maybe straight away. But we all know once Leah Galton is absolutely head down motoring, there is no stopping her. The best I still think that she is the best left winger in the league, you know, and I stand by what Casey said a couple of years ago, you know. I don't think there's anyone better. When she's on absolute tip-top form, when she's flying, you know, scoring goals, assisting left, right and centre, you know, that's the Leah Galton that we all know and love. And the fact is, you know, when she does have the confidence and she is going round the outside or in the inside, or whatever it may be, where she's absolutely committing a fullback and having the fullback on toast. That's the kind of Leah Galton that you want, you know what I mean? Or the Leah Galton that's arriving late in the box to get herself on the score sheet, you know. I think that's been a little bit missing in our play at times as well, especially earlier on in the season. That late sort of Leah Galton run at the far post, which was always sort of a signature move back in the over the last few seasons, you know. So it's good to see that she's back on form. Very well deserved player of the month. Yes, I know there's rival fans going to be chucking their arms up in the air, but what about this player? What about that player? Well, unfortunately, the votes are being counted, and Leah Galton is the winner, and very well deserved again. You know, it just goes to show you the type of football Manchester United are playing as well. And again, it harks on back to Skinner, it harks on back to the coaching staff as well. You know, big credit has to go out to the coaching staff, I think, as well. You know, and of course, you know, Marc's already said that as well. You know, and it's just the idea is just clicking. That he's getting there, but we're going to make sure that those ideas are implemented in the correct in the correct style, in the correct manner against City tomorrow, because we need, as I said, to take full advantage of Manchester City tomorrow and getting the win at the Mini Council House. I don't know what he's about Chelsea fans. It might be me, Gareth. I just saw.
Same with Emma Hayes.
With Emma Hayes.
To be fair to her, though, just before we move on, to sort of back her. I mean, listen, I don't mind Emma Hayes. 9 times out of 10, she talks a lot of sense, and she's a very good sort of person for me, anyway, to listen to when she's like doing a punditry or she's in interviews, because she's honest. Apart from the goals thing, but that was a few years ago. You know, I tend to like her, so I don't mind. I've said this all along.
Well, to be fair, mate, I'm not trying to be overly critical or anything. I'm not trying to, but I just at this moment in time, mate, and to be fair, mate, I just think that yes, it's took him a little bit of time. Just going briefly back onto Marc Skinner, but I just think he gets Manchester United. I think there's a part of him that sort of really gets our club, you know. Yes, it might have taken a little bit of time. I think Casey might have got it straight away, but then sort of her style of football was very restricting at times, and very regimented. There's no room for change. There's no room for a different tactical approach. Whereas you know that Skinner is open to ideas, he's open to different variations of tactics, or he might switch a formation around, or he might switch a player there. You think, oh.
Well, that's done in the world of good.
Yeah.
That's why we've got an upturn of form. But what I was going to say back to Emma Hayes was, you know, you were talking about Champions League. I mean, it could be worse. It could be one Man City. You know, Man City with one league title in how many years?
Well,
10 years since they nicked all them players in 2012 and bought everyone. you could have one league title to show for it. So at least Emma Hayes has got more than one league title to show for it.
Well, yeah. To be fair to it,
yeah, briefly on Mark, like you say, I think changing things has worked wonders. Like you say, Casey was regimented and had a flaws, but also a positives. But anyway,
it is what it is, pal. It is what it is. What was I going to say now? Lost my train of thought then. Where's that comment gone that you said on there?
That one.
That's it. She's so good offensively. It's not often wingers can fulfill both the roles. It is true. And I think that spell at fullback under Casey Stoney did a world of good as well, to understand that importance of tracking back into, so that's what I want to touch upon. Sorry, mate, before we moved on.
No.
Moving on then. I know we'll get into City a little bit later, I think. Well, in fact, no, let's get to City now, because I know you've got a slide to show us, so to speak.
Would you like it now?
Well, we could do, because I was going to say our head-to-head battles between City, it would be quite interesting. Since we always seem to play them. We can't seem to get away from in the cup draws as well, So it's going to be interesting to see how things have swung over the past few seasons since we've entered the WSL.
Yeah. I'll get it on screen then. It's a little
while you get it on screen, mate, I'll just get Gareth's comment up here. So the difference between Casey and Mark for me is Casey's started quick and then fell away. Mark seems to be hitting it from... Yeah, exactly. I totally agree, pal. I totally agree. Right, let's see if our technology's working here. Here we go. Last head-to-head for the last 5 games in all competitions. 2-1 at the Conti Cup, 2-2 the WSL, 3-0 the WSL for City, 4-3. Yeah. So history tells us there might be 1 or 2 goals in this one.
The thing is, looking at this for me, go on. Oh, you're frozen, Benny. Looks like Ben's froze, so I'll carry on. As we were saying, we're looking at head-to-heads between sort of the two sides for the last 2 games. Obviously, looking at this, as Ben was sort of trying to point out before he froze, that there was basically quite a lot of goals in the last 5 games shared. So obviously looking at this, we had the 2-1 Conti Cup win. We had 2-2 in the WSL. They were last season as well. The 3-0 as well was last season in the league. Again, one of them where we didn't score. Obviously Conti Cup on penalties. And then we had also the 2-2 WSL as well result, which again not used to this one. Disappeared on me, pal. But yeah, used to lots of goals. Obviously again looking at this, sort of more than 3, apart from the Conti Cup 0-0, there's been pretty much 3 goals scored a game, sometimes 4. So again, something we're expecting tomorrow, or certainly I'm expecting, is quite a few goals. Let's have a look here. Head-to-head is healthy. Yeah. Again, it's just good to compare. I think head-to-head is healthy. Will they start Ellen White? Potentially, I don't know. Obviously, we'll get onto lineups shortly in terms of who we think will play and things like that. But I think just looking at this, it's very interesting. Like I say, there's a lot of high-scoring results there, really. Like I say, the 3s and things like that, and the 2-0s, lots of goals in the game. So I do believe, for me, that there will be quite a few goals tomorrow. That said, obviously, I think with it being as competitive and a lot riding on it as there is, here he is, that we will see maybe minimal goals, but who knows? Benny, are you back?
I am back, mate. My laptop, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, decided what to try to do an update, and I've been trying to escape it, but I managed to do it.
Right, well, I'll fill you in. To what I was saying. I was sort of talking of the last 5 games. on this head-to-head here. I've done it for all competitions. And what I was saying was, there's obviously, apart from the 0-0 and then the 4-3 on penalties, interestingly, most games have had 3 goals. And I was sort of saying there's a lot riding on tomorrow. So would we potentially go cautious, or do we think we'll see maybe 3 or 4 goals again in the whole game? Obviously, whatever score that ends up. We briefly touch in, obviously, on sort of a couple of players with this comment. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like I say, looking at that, I mean, barring the 3-0 result from last year, they're all pretty close, aren't they? If it's not a draw, it's like that, a 2-1 win. I could have gone further back, but I've only picked 5. But I'll let you give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we should go cautious tomorrow. Obviously, I think we need to be in that right frame of mind as well. That, listen, our 2 sort of you call them title rivals. I still think we're in a title battle, mate. You know, I know there's plenty of games we played, many points we won and dropped and lost. However, if we're very, very serious about challenging for Champions League places, we need to be taking maximum points. And let's be fair, though, City are now starting to pick up points themselves, and they're not too far behind either now. You know what I mean? If they go out and beat us, that, you know, they're putting themselves right back in the mixer as well. So we need to make sure we're going out there, I think, with a positive mind, a positive frame of mind, and we're going out there to play our football and going out there to win. You know, I don't want us to see us sit back, being a bit too cautious and overthinking things, because I think that's when mistakes are made. Yeah. You know, and I don't want us to see us looking, you know, watching a nervy Manchester United performance where we're just sitting there trying to soak up the pressure, soak up their attack, and playing cautious football. I don't think that's our style. I don't think that's Skinner style. For me, I think Skinner needs to trust what he's doing, trust his coaches, trust in his own ability. You know, trust that he's back-to-back manager of the month, like we said. We go out there, go out and win. Go out to win the game. Go put pressure on City straight away. Listen, you know, yes, I know they've got quite a few players back now from, as opposed to earlier on the season where there was injuries galore and there was suspensions and there was. Yes, it's a different animal that we're facing. Of course, I understand that, but we need to make sure we're controlling the game our way, not their way. Let's not sit there, be cautious, and try and sit people behind the ball and, you know, let them dictate play. I think we need to go out there and dictate play ourselves. You know, make sure we're winning our midfield battles. Make sure each and every one of our players are winning their own individual battles, because there's always little battles all over the field, whether it be individually, whether it be collectively. You know, we need to make sure we're winning those battles, making sure we're always first the ball, first any loose balls. You know, second, third, fourth winners, whatever it may be. Make sure that we're in there first. Get into their faces. You know, and I'm not overly convinced on this City manager, by the way. I'm not overly convinced on him. I think they're there for the taking, but we need to make sure we're brave enough to do that. I don't want to say it's too cautious, mate. You know, because I want to feel if we go too cautious, I think complacency might creep in a little bit. Players might get a bit nervous, so we have a cautiously play, we have a tiptoe our way around this, sort of around the first 15-20 minutes. I think if we go out and express ourselves right from the start and we go out with a positive manner and a positive attitude, I think, you know, we could cause these a lot of problems. I just fear, though, if we, like you said, if we just sort of feel our way into the game and sit there, let City take control, it could be, it might even end up being our downfall. You know, you don't want to give City a sniff early doors. You know, you don't want them going a goal ahead because, you know, our backs up against the wall. Then, you know, I just think if we could go out there and we can assert ourselves in the game. If we get the first goal in the game, that's going to have City on the back foot, then City are going to be rocking a little bit, thinking, oh, well, we didn't expect United to come out and play like this. We thought, as you said, we thought they might be come here cautious, especially where they are in the league, especially with the result that happened Friday night. But I think with that result that happened Friday night, that draw played right into our hands, mate. If we could go out there and beat Manchester City tomorrow, but beat them positively and beat them comfortably as well, and in a good and in a really good manner. Their fans can't go, oh, you had a scrappy 1-0, you were blah blah blah. Listen, let's go out there.
Listen, I'd take a scrappy 1-0 if it means we win. I'm not bothered, mate.
Yeah, I'm not bothered either, mate. A win's a win for me, pal. However, I really want to turn the screw on City. I really do.
I think it's interesting because you look at it, and like I say, there's a lot of goals in the last 5 games. If I stretch back even more, again, there's even a few more because obviously we've played them a million times in the cup. But I think, like you say, I think if we really, attack them from the off, and like you say, don't sit back. If we get that win tomorrow, and I know I've put this on the thumbnail, for me, I think they can kiss goodbye to top 3 with a win for us. I just look at the running, and I think they've got to play Reading twice, home and away, who are on fire at the minute. Spurs as well away, which isn't easy. They've also got to play West Ham away and Brighton at home, and that's all before the end of the season. Now, they do have a couple of easy fixtures in there, likes of the Evertons and the Leicesters, but I still think, for me, like I say, 3 points tomorrow opens up, what will it be? It's a 5-point gap now, isn't it? So it'll be an 8-point gap with that. So I just think that now's the time to open that gap, keep them out of that top 3 race and see where we end up. I know you were talking about maybe looking at the title before, but I think for me, I'd just be happy with Champions League. That's not to say don't go for the title, but I just feel like we don't have enough strength in depth yet in terms of real quality, to sort of make that title charge, really.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to blow Trump up, blow backside me, but I just think that the opportunity is there. I'm not saying that we're going to win a title. I'd love us to win a title, of course, but what I'm saying is we've got an absolute, I think, the best chance we've got in a long, long time. Possibly our best chances of reforming is obviously we reform to really push the top 2, really push the big guns in this league to get in and amongst it. Who would have said that earlier on in the season that we'd be in and around them top 3 places with a chance, with every possibility, maybe challenging for the title, let alone Champions League football. Yeah. So I think. Just play our games. Just go for it. Just don't fear anybody. So we'll just say 7-0. Is that Connor? Is it my eyes deceiving me? He is the name. He's jinxing it now, isn't he? It's calling me eye there, so we'll put 7-0, Connor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think Skinner's approach is going to be to this? Am I maybe being a bit too optimistic, or do you think Skinner's going to be far more relaxed and take the more measured approach?
I think in terms of playing style, and obviously we'll get onto that first, I don't think he's going to be reserved or sitting back like we talked about. They're there for the taking. They've sort of got a little bit of form, haven't they? Obviously you touched on they got players back from injury. But I still look at it and think, why not? When probably the best form we've ever been, if we're excluding season 1, best form in the WSL anyway that we've had over sort of 3-4 years. So I think for me, I'm just going to rattle through a few of these comments. Controlling the midfield. Mentions there Weir, Hemp and White, spot on. I also want to throw Jess Park into the mix as well. Again, substitutions, like we talked about before, strength in depth, whoever's on the bench, are they going to come on and make a difference? You don't want to bring on your subs and then it be like, oh, they've not really had the impact you desired. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's a derby game. Anybody that listened to Mary Earps' interview that the club put out this morning, she talked about the players know what it means and giving that extra boost to fans, for getting a win. But yeah, I just think, we've got now, obviously there's a lot of comments on Senior Brune And I think, we've got that now, haven't we? We've got a quality forward to go alongside Russo. It's all well and good having Russo, but we've now got Bruno as well and Tooney in behind. So I think, again, it's a real good opportunity. Obviously, Diane, as we talked about, had a decent game against Arsenal. Again, there was comments further up about Aoife Mannion. Will she be back? I mean, it's anyone's guess, isn't it? I'd hope she is, because I don't think I'm sold on the Diane Thor partnership. I just think it lacks pace, which is pretty obvious, which sort of ties in there, really. Do I think Mannion plays? I really, really hope so. And we'll do our starting 11s in a little bit, discuss sort of danger players and the way we set up. But I've put Mannion in my team. So I've done a little graphic on that as well, because I love a good graphic. And yeah, I've actually put Mannion in. So I really hope so. Obviously, I think people said she'd been excluded from training photos, but then earlier Mark said, that apart from Stanny, Millie Turner, and obviously Jade Moore, he was pretty much at a fully fit squad. Again, that could just be sort of mind games. No, Jade Moore's back training, but I don't think she's on sort of contact yet. They said she was out running and doing stuff like that, fitness. So that's that. But yeah, I just think, it's one of them, isn't it? Wild prediction. Benny Winner runs on the pitch with 5 to go and nods it in. Yeah, I don't know. What are you thinking exactly? Sort of just anything that you want to add to commentary that I've pulled up or anything like
that? Just to Connor's one, it's a wild prediction, but I'm expecting a Benny Winner. Unfortunately, I can't play, mate. I don't think the league rules will allow it, but I would love to score the winner in a Manchester derby. But I think, on the Mannion thing, I think it's very, very interesting, and the timing of Skinner's comments, I believe she might play, So long as she's able to do everything to prove their fitness, and she's moving around all right. She's able to run, and she's able to do and able to prove it to Skinner and everything. I reckon she might start. I think we need that leadership at the back. I really do. I just think it's one of those where you may gamble on having your best centre half playing. As I said previously, I'm not one for rushing players back. I do what obviously because we don't want. I don't want to risk the player breaking back down again. Going back down injured straight away. But the magnitude of this game, and I think the way that as I keep gluing to it, the way that the Friday night's results gone, I do think that he might play Mannion in this one. I have a sneaky suspicion. But I like this. Sorry, pal. I just wanted to bring up Norman Phillips' comment here about Kirsty Smith. We've been on this one. Blundell or Smith against Hemp. I mean, what would you? I know we're going to get into our lineups in a minute, so this might actually give it away a little bit with this question. But I think I know where you're probably going to go with this one. But who do you think against Hemp there? I'm more likely to lean towards Blundell. With the big game experience. I'm not saying that Smith doesn't have big game experience, of course not. She's got Scottish international, but I just think that Blundell, been there, done that with Chelsea, got the T-shirt, has the experience of this sort of what I would call the pressure situation, the pressure cooker, if you will, trying to cement Champions League football, pushing Chelsea and Arsenal, in terms of the leadership of the WSL. Where do you think? Where's your mind looking at for this sort of question here?
Yeah, Hannah as well. I just think she possesses a little bit more strength as well than Kirsty Smith in terms of like physical battle, I'm thinking. But listen, Hemp, for anybody that watched the Man City Chelsea game that was on telly last week, Hemp obviously swapped sides. So to be fair, I think what we've seen this year is that owners really had a card marked, and she's really dealt with her quality, really well. She's putting quality performances against her. So I think, listen, I'm fully expecting her to be swapping sides throughout the game. It's not something they've done a huge lot this season, Man City. Whether that's been due to their injuries, I don't know. But I think for me, it has to be as strong as possible. And I think, listen, I've given Kirsty Smith a lot of praise sort of these last 18, 24 months, and rightly so. And I think for me, Blundell just shades it. You know, I think she's got that little bit more sort of about her, and I think she gets up and down for me a little bit better than Smithy. You know, Smithy gets up and that's great and supports the attack, but I do wonder sometimes if she does struggle to get back. But yeah, I just think, you know, play Hannah, and then obviously I'm just looking at Connor's comment here about Mannion. It could be a risk, but again, you know, if she passes all the tests, then he's right. You know, she should be in. I just hope if she is, you know, okay, that it's not going to be a gamble. You know, there's no point in putting her in, even if it's like 60, 70%. You know, she needs to be 100% in terms of fitness and a knee to have her in there. But like I say, we'll probably go through the starting 11 shortly. But yeah, I think, like I say, for me, it's got to be Hannah up against Hemp.
Just on Manchester City. So obviously, I know you're a connoisseur of women's football, so to speak, and yes, I know we're all quite familiar with the big names of the City squad. But where do you think this game could be won or lost here? You know, in terms of a battle, is it crucial in the midfield battle?
I'd say yes, but the other thing is as well, looking at their team and sort of their defence, you know, they've been missing Steph Horton now. For all the ribbon she gets from our fans and things like that, you know, she still is probably their best centre half. So I think for me, yes, the midfield is probably likely to be the most key, but I do feel like if you look at their sort of defence and the players they've been, like I say, playing, obviously Steph I think has missed the last 3 or 4, and they've had Alex Greenwood at centre half with Ruby Mace. Now Ruby Mace isn't the quickest, she's a very good player. And she's very strong, but she's not the fastest. And I just think her against Russo or her against Brune is going to be a very good battle. Alex Greenwood's got a mistake in her. Demi Stokes, for all her, what should we say, attacking qualities, isn't, in my view, a better fullback than Greenwood. Obviously, I think now they should have Alana Kennedy back. I don't think she was involved last time, or she certainly didn't start when they played Chelsea. And then obviously Bronze at right back. So it will be interesting. I think that defence is there for the taking. But again, he said it before and he's said it now again, you know, here about controlling the midfield. And I think that's it, you know, stop Way, stop Walsh as well. I think Kira Walsh, and I hate saying things like this, but Kira Walsh doesn't sort of go notice. She's like their Hayley Ladd. You know, she's not great in a tackle though. So I will give Hayley Ladd a due over Kira Walsh. But Kira Walsh's passing range is pretty good. She just can't tackle. So I think for me, you know, again, she's someone, if we can stop her and stop Weir, then for me, that would be a start. And then obviously I talked about earlier about sort of, you know, Hemp, but I want to chuck Jess Park in there because she's been quality, like really quality for him. And I know a lot of people have sort of said, you know, how's she not in England under 23s because she's around sort of with the 19s, 20s, 21s age group being young. But I just think, you know, the opportunity's there. Obviously, again, you know, people mentioned Ellen White further up. You know, Vicky Lasada's sort of in and out the side as well. Hayley Rasso, as I mentioned, will be back with Alana Kennedy. So it's going to be interesting. But I think, you know, like I say, I'd like to say midfield would be the one. Again, Gareth says there, don't give Lasada space in the edge of the box. She does have a long-range shot on her that tends to be the thing. So I think the midfield for me first, and then that defence for me, again, is there to be got at. Lanzel's saying here, does think the Walsh Way Lasada for the 3. Our 3 is better than that. Yeah, listen, I'll put up our 3 in a minute that I've picked, but I do agree. But it's just about stopping it again, you know. And I would love to see somebody just go and flatten Stanway and really wind her up because we know she'll react.
Bit of a hothead, isn't she?
That's it. Absolutely. Well, not even a hothead. She just can't tackle for... I'm not swearing. She can't tackle to save her life. I'll rephrase that before something comes out. And John's messaging me like, "Crazy, what have you been saying on here, pal?" But yeah, I just think get Stanway rattled and we'll be in for a good battle tomorrow.
Speaking of rattling as well, we have to mention obviously Alex Greenwood. For I know there'll be people watching there, maybe even watching the first time that may want to hear an opinion or two on Alex Greenwood. Is there someone else that we can really target for pressure as well? You know, as you said though, she has got a mistake in her.
She has it centre half.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into as well. You know, And of course, I do think the fans are going to probably, well, the United fans probably maybe, give it a bit of banter tomorrow. Get on a back a little bit, make a, just wind up, try and wind up from the sidelines a little bit. But do you think that there's a possible route to explore there? In terms of maybe just trying to, I wouldn't say rough her up as such, but maybe just trying to get in there a little bit late. Just physically, just get her wound up a little bit. Because obviously with the fans being on the case, and then if she's got a mistake in two of in her and she's wound up, and is that a possible avenue to explore, or do you think she's too professional for that? Too so what's the word I'm looking for? Too professional, I suppose, the word for it. I suppose or too cunning. I think that's the word. Too cunning for that. Do you think
she's clever enough not to be involved in sort of stupid games, if that's what you want to call it, or like stupid little scuffles or whatever? But I think for me, I know Lanzo said here he thinks she's solid as centre back. She is 9 times. Well, not even know. I'm going to go lower than that. 7 or 8 times out of 10, and she's done well for them this year at centre back. But I think there was a game she scored an own goal, and I look at some of her positioning over the past 3 or 4 games where she's been, and listen, that happens when you're playing out of position. Obviously, she's a fullback. If it was me, I'd be playing Mace and Kennedy together, Bronze at right back and Greenwood at left, and bin off Stokes. But if Greenwood's at centre half positionally, we need to drag her out of position. And I think Mark talks about moving players and it being like a game of chess, I think he said once in his wonderful analogies that he uses. But I just think, like I say, she is decent, or she's okay at centre-back, but she is prone to mistakes or being dragged out of position. And I think that's where we need to be exploiting it. That's where, if we can pull her apart and run her ragged, that's where the success will come in terms of the back. Obviously, like I said, again, Ruby Mace, good defender, not blessed with pace, very strong, good in the air. So again, it's about pulling them two apart. And like I said, we know Alex's quality. We know she's a leader. She's just wasted at centre half, but that's what they've gone with. Obviously, I don't know if Horton's injured or dropped or what, but Norman's bigging up your defence against the dark arts, or master of the dark arts, should I say, instead of using Harry Potter terms.
We got to. I was a player like that. That's why I had so many yellow cards and so many red cards in my amateur playing grassroots career. But anyway, and I think you have to get in it. You have to get in their faces a little bit. Doesn't matter if they're ex-teammates. I think the one thing that I was listening to at work the other day was the Rafael and Fabio De Silva podcast, or Manchester United podcast. There was that, and obviously there was on about the time where he got in Carlos Tevez's face. Despite being good mates and former teammates, he was standing up in his face, in the Manchester derby. And I think sometimes you got to do that, But Alonso's got a good point here as well about the goalkeeper. There's really a test road book as well. Just came back from an injury. Brilliant goalkeeper. Pepper goals was shot in the corner. Listen, I totally agree with that. Someone that's not playing a lot of football this season.
A bit rusty.
A bit rusty. Coming into a big game. Obviously, I do think they're going to. I expect them to start with road book. I think I'd scratch them in if they weren't going to start with road book. Quality goalkeeper, absolutely mint goalkeeper. I'll give her that. But I totally agree with Lansel there. Someone that's not had a lot of football. Just make sure we're taking our opportunities. Make sure we're hitting the target with some of these shots, making it work, asking questions. Let's not be afraid to put when it comes to set piece. Not afraid to put one or two under a bar. See she's willing to come for it. See she starts flapping, or whether she is back to a supreme best in confidence. Because for a goalkeeper that's been out for such a long time, last thing you want is balls being peppered under your bar with United players in and around you, asking questions. So I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see us just take a let's take a couple of pot shots if we need to, you know, just a couple of sighters, if you will, you know, just to test it, see how sharp her reflexes really are, you know. Someone that's been out for quite a long time, you know, reflex what might not be as sharp as they would normally be, if you will. So I definitely agree on that. I'm not sure if you've got an opinion on Roebuck, because I don't know, you know her game a lot better than I do.
Well, you've pretty much summed it all up. So what I was going to do is move on to my starting 11.
Well, you've got to do starting 11. That's pretty cool.
So I don't know. That probably doesn't come up big enough on screen. Let's have a look what we can do. How's that looking now, Benny?
Yeah, it's a bit better there, lad. Yeah, I could just about. Let me put my readers on, and I might be able to make it out. Yeah, let's have a look.
There we go. Is that better now in terms of size?
Yes, mate, that is absolutely
super. Yeah, so I think just to go on to my starting team now. Obviously, I think there was Norman and Lanzo mentioned it further up about will they play my 4-1-3-2. Ignore the numbers, by the way, on the shirts. I can't change them. But I think what I've done is I toyed with that, and then I thought, actually, I'll explain why I've got a little diamond going on. So I've got Earps in goal, Owner at right back, Mannion and Diane, or Caldwell, whatever people want to refer to, at centre half, Hannah at left back, Hayley Ladd sitting, midfield, three of Jackie, Tooney, Bo Russo, and Bruin up top. Now, the idea with Tooney is obviously in possession, she's like that 10. So she's in behind the front two. Out of possession, she'd be in between Risa and Groningen as like a flat 3. So I think my thinking behind that was, you know, have a look at that. And we talk about the midfield, and obviously we know the fullbacks are going to push on when we've got the ball. So that enables, you know, Hayley to just sit there with obviously Diane and Mannion, who can push alongside Hayley once the fullbacks have gone high. So I think that was my thinking of it, you know, really, like you said before, take the game to them and sort of, you know, really go for it from the off, really. I don't know if you want to discuss that or read any comments or anything.
Just Gareth, you got the numbers wrong, lad. I know you did, mate. I know you did. Norman said he doesn't think he'll drop Zelen. That's a good point, though. We are thinking the captain of the team, you know, somebody that doesn't seem to be droppable at times. Do you think that he would drop her for the Manchester derby? I mean, I like your team, by the way. I think that's a spot on, that.
I think the thing is, listen, John asked me on Monday's match reaction show about her, and I said, listen, she does deserve some credit. And I said on Monday I have been critical, very critical, and hands up. But that's only because I've seen what she's capable of. And that's only because when she's been playing in a role that isn't defensive midfielder, for me, she's lost the ball and been careless at times. And especially in the big games as well, she dithers on the ball and she doesn't put herself about in a tackle, and it winds me up. So to answer Norman's question about dropping Zellum, I don't think he'll drop Zellum either. But I just think now, you know, Jackie's been building up her minutes over the past 3 or 4 games. I do think she should be ready now to start from the off. So I think that's why I've gone with that. But for me, like I say, I don't know. The thing is, I can't fit Katie in, and I don't really want to for those reasons mentioned. You know, you get away with it against smaller teams, but we've got to be physical. You know, we've all talked about the midfield. Lanzo says there, Champions League midfield. Listen, you can't disagree, can you? I think for me, that is it. Borissa's really come into form. I think since Ladd and Borissa have been in the team, we've talked about this loads, haven't we? You know, it's just that balance. You know, Hayley brings the calmness. Borissa's been great at getting up. She's chipping in with goals now as well as assists. You know, it's one of them sort of, I'm just looking again, you know, talking about, you know, captain and that. I would give the captaincy to Mannion if she's back. But I just think, without going into a captain debate, I just think for big games and that, for me, she goes missing in too many and she's too much of a liability. Like I said, you know, credit to her recent goals and assists, you know, that have sort of helped us to get where we are. But the thing what annoys me is just because you're captain shouldn't mean that you have to be picked, or it shouldn't mean that you're undroppable. And we sort of had this with Casey, and then Casey sort of dropped her a little bit, didn't she? Towards sort of the end of her spell in charge. But I just don't feel like it's the time to be faffing about. Like I said, if we play this team, for me, I think, listen, you know, more than capable of getting our result that we want, the win. And I just feel like I said before, if we get that win, I think that puts to bed their Champions League hopes. I know it's funny because actually this morning Ellen White was like, "Oh yeah, we can still win the league." I'm thinking, nah, forget the league, mate. You're going to be out the Champions League if we beat you, because like I said, 8-point gap and some difficult run of fixtures for them. Yeah, I mean, there's always twists and turns, but I just think for me, 3 points Sunday. So yeah, that's my team.
Yeah, perfect, that, mate. To be fair, I think.
Yeah,
I know we've got Caldwell at the back there. That's an interesting shout, that as well. You know,
the thing is that I'm looking at that, and like I said, assuming Mannion's back, for me, Diane against Arsenal was very physical, very switched on, like a leader, experienced player as we'd expect. I just feel like, you know, she's probably more physical than Aoife, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because they'll complement each other. Aoife's a very good ball playing centre half. She's good in the air. She's very calm. You know, she's been our best centre half this year because obviously Millie's not had enough games for me to be, you know, a shout over Mannion. Obviously, it's Millie and Mannion every week when Millie's back, but I just think those two will complement each other well. And, you know, having Thor in there, Thor is quite tall, but for me, she just doesn't always show that physicality. It's patchy and she's not the quickest. So I don't want two slow centre halves against somebody like a Bunny Shaw, an Ellen White, a Hemp, a Park, because it's just a recipe for disaster. So if we can play Mannion like we've talked about next to Diane, I think that's solid enough. You know, I'm just looking now. Vilde Risa, delivery on her yet. Listen, I've seen Tooney over the years hit 20, 30-yard free kicks, top bins. You know, Rousseau can hit a free kick, Jackie. You know, again, there, I like this here. You know, substitutions. That's going to be
that's the key.
Sort of the next key part. We talked about where we can win it, but looking at 60-minute mark onwards, where you can win it then in that period is the substitutions. You know, again, you know, Hansen, Galton, Fuso, those three, like Glanzel says, you know, the speed and the power. That I don't know. We're not going to get into the ins and outs of who for and things like that. It depends how it goes in the day. But those three, you know, have got the potential, like he says, to cause damage. And what a great sort of trio to be able to bring on. You know, like I said, pace, power, experience. You know, you've obviously got those three as like you probably your main ones that you bring on. But then I suppose as well, you've got your likes of maybe Martha Thomas that could come on and potentially do something, you know. I wouldn't rule her out as well. She's got the speed. So again, you know, it's just options, is it? But I think certainly those three and Martha Thomas, you know, it just gives us a little bit of a different dimension.
Absolutely.
Have you got your 11?
Mate, I don't know if I could do this. Right, hold on. Me and technology don't get along.
Let me my screen share, and then you can do yours. There you go.
How the hell do you screen share? This is the first time I've ever done this, ladies and gentlemen.
It says share.
I know it says share.
Right, well, whilst you're doing that, I'm going to talk about, for me, I'm going to give a result.
I don't know how clear this will come through, if it does come through, by the way. There you go. I don't know if you can see that properly. I don't know if I can just...
What have you gone for there? 2-3-2-3. That's what it looks like.
Mate, well, to be fair, I'm not so good at this technology business, pal, but let me just try and minimise that a little bit. There we go. There you go, my man. There you go. Look, you know, I've gone for 4 at the back with Mannion. I just thought, you know, I was just going for a little bit more of a partnership that maybe understood each other, you know, a little bit more than... I get where you go with Caldwell, by the way. Very experienced centre-half, but I just think communication might be very, very important in this game. So I've just gone for a back two that maybe know each other a little bit more.
Yeah.
And by the way, this has cut my whole mind up, actually, because anyway, you get the basic gist of it. Anyway,
so is that N-Dub's bottom right? It certainly looks like it.
An
advert at the side, and it's
N-Dub's bottom right. Yes, I think it is, pal. You know,
But yeah, you've got your back. I mean, I know they're out of position on that, and it's gone a little bit wonky, but it should be a back 4, a holding 1.
Yeah, holding 1,
2 in front of Haley, and then a front 3.
Front three, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's just, I think it's I think it's split it up because obviously it's condensed it, what it is. But yeah, I just think I'm going to keep Galton in there for I think for the for what she possesses, the dangers that she possesses down the left hand side there, to get up for the full back. Listen, I don't think there's a better player there to get out there, and I do think I thought to myself when I was doing it, I thought, could I put Hansen in on the right hand side? Will he go for a surprise and put Hansen in there, for a hard industrious work? But then I thought, I think it's more unlikely going to be Bruno up top with Russo on the right. I know you've got him as a front pairing up top there. I don't think he'll change too much from this. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but but again, I've got no Zellum in this team. If you notice as well, I've gone for Tooney, Burries, Ladders, midfield three as well. I was like, cool, could I put Jackie in there? But then I thought, she'd be actually better. She could be a really good option from the bench as well. Someone might, but I just think the form that Burries is in as well. I can't drop Burries. I can't drop Burries with the form that she's in. I think Jackie's still finding her way back a little bit. If I'm being really truthful, really 100% truthful, I just think she's not quite at full match sharpness yet. If she was quite at full match sharpness, I think I would have had a bit of a bit more thinking to do on my midfield. I think because I think I'd love to have Jackie in there, but again, I just think it's just a little bit under full fitness what it's match sharpness. I've gone for Blundell and I've gone for Ona Badger at the back as full backs as well. I think. Listen, I know we had that discussion earlier on about Blundell or Kirsty Smith. By the way, this is a big up to Kirsty Smith, though. I didn't think I'd be having this kind of conversation last season when we was going, was she even a first team player? This season, she's done absolutely tremendously, absolutely fantastic to get herself back in there and get herself in amongst the first 11. I've been a serious contender as well to be a starter, and I mean a proper serious contender. So fair play to her, but I just think Blundell's experience in the nitty gritty, in as I said earlier on, in the pressure cooker situations, I'll go for that. I just Ladd's a must for me. Ladd is if I was going to pick a player that has to be absolutely on it tomorrow for me in terms of a Manchester United player, has to be Henny Ladd. Has to be Henny Ladd. She has to do what she's been doing all season and have a game, but this time have a game of her life. Really take control, really take the game by the scruff of the neck, control that midfield, make sure nothing comes past her. If she has to resort to dark arts a little bit, resort to the dark arts. Just control that midfield. You're the one that, for me, she's the key player for Manchester United. She's going to be the one that's going to dictate how we play. If she can start busting that midfield, I think we've got a really good chance. But I do think that Hayley's going to be on it tomorrow, and I mean really on it. Not saying that she isn't when she plays, because she's one of the most committed players that I've seen. I'm a big fan of Hayley Ladd, but I just think tomorrow is her game. I think that's where it's won. That sort of nitty-gritty defensive midfield battle. Who comes out on top? And I think Hayley Ladd needs to be the one that's coming out on top of this midfield battle, because obviously we all know that Skinner is not going to go for this. I think he's going to go, a totally different midfield. But if he was to go with this type of midfield, Hayley Ladd's key, because yes, Ella Toon and Bo Reese said yes, they will come back and help. They will get, stuck in as well where available. But hey, lads, you're absolute rock. Everything's down to her. It's going to be played through her. She's going to break up play. It's going to be her, because let's be fair. I just think she's the absolute key player tomorrow. People might focus on the centre halves, but What's John Hume saying it? I like him, but I can't see him dropping Katie Zellum. That's the one thing. Obviously, didn't have Katie Zellum in his team either. I don't think so. However, this is what I'd go for. Not too dissimilar to Matt, really, in a way. Yes, the formation's a little bit different, a couple of different personnel, but really spot on, quite close, isn't it? You know.
The only thing I want to ask you, Ben, is, and I think people know this is coming. Would you potentially swap Brune and Russo around, or?
Mate, to be fair, what I always say,
he's not really a wide forward, but he was Russo.
But, to be fair, mate, what I always say is I like my front three to move around.
Yeah.
You know, whether Brune will be on the left-hand side, Galton will be up top, Russo on the right-hand side, Russo, Galton swapping about.
Because
Brune
you've got the potential to cut
do you know what I mean?
there.
I think it's if you keep him in a static position, like, you know, Galton's always on the left, Russo's always on the right, Brune's always through the middle. It's so easy to defend against. But to move your three around.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I thoughts on Russo wide. She could potentially cut in, like you say, the front three. I'm still not a fan of it personally. Just to answer his question,
I'm not a fan of it personally. I just trying to think a little bit of Skinner's of where Skinner might come from. But what I will say quite quickly before I lose my train of thought is, when Manchester United, the men's side, had Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, they all swapped around. They were never in the same positions. They were very, very clever in the movement. You know, one would be on the left-hand side, one would be on the right, and one would be up top. And then 2 seconds later, they'd all be swapping back round again. You know, it confuses defence. It pulls the especially the centre halves. It starts pulling the gap between the centre halves even wider because they're like, oh, which one am I following here? Who's going where? And that's the key, I think. Let's just try and get into their heads a little bit by swapping them around. You know, it gives, like, if it is Alex Greenwood at the back there, you know, centre half. Obviously, she's going to be the leader there. You know, an experienced player there. It's going to be up to her then to communicate with her with her fellow centre half, with whoever's playing in the side of her at wing backs. You know, she's going to have to always be communicating with them. It's going to, you know, just mess with the mind a little bit. Just make sure we're interchangeable. I don't like static formation. I don't like static players. Unless you're playing a 4-4-2 or something like that, where, yes, you can afford to be a bit more static, you know. But with this front three, I expect this front three to move around a bit, you know. I expect to see Russo up top, Brune on the right, or Galton on the right, Russo on the left, Brune up top, you know, whatever it may be. But
one final thing on that, though, just before we do score predictions and wrap it, I think, you know, talking about Russo wide and just sort of coming back to this, what we do lose when she is wide is a tracking back into the midfield. If you watch when she's centrally, if she's out wide, for me, it's pointless because the only place she's going to track back is potentially to near the right back position, which isn't what we want. If you look at when she's central, she'll probably get on, looking at your graphic, she'll get to, she'll get in that central role in deep in midfield, sort of in between where you had Risa and Tooney, and go and retrieve the ball, or she'll hold it up. So I think for me, you know, she needs to be central.
What's this, Gareth? Yes, mate. I try and think about it, mate. You know, I try and be as clever as I can. But yeah, thing is, I did it before, then I lost it, and I've had to do it while Crane was having conversations with you. Because me and technology just don't get along, as people know. I'm horrible with technology. But yeah, I just listen. I like fluid positions, and I just don't like static. You know, if it's too static, you're too easy to play against. I always say, and to be fair, you know that you know. One thing I will add, though, is if that midfield is true, you know, Ladd, Bo Reese, Tooney, them three, I think that one of Bo Reese, both Bo Reese and Tooney are going to have to be very professional in my opinion. That one goes, one sort of maybe just hangs back a little bit, if that makes any sense, just to give Ladd a little bit of cover, just in case of a counter attack. So just be very, very sort of aware, spatial awareness, I think that's the word I'm looking for. You know, if Tooney's the one that's going to bomb into, you know, get herself get herself on the end of something at the edge of the area around there. And that's just see Burris just hang back a tad, just in case they do knock one over the top on the counter attack, just to give Hayden just a little bit of backup. That's all I will say, just to make sure that those two communicate with each other. One goes, one sort of just, I wouldn't say completely hangs back, but just make sure she's ready to be on her toes in case there's a counter attack, just to give her a bit of backup to any lad. Just renewed. All right, so I think we've got to wrap it up because apparently Crane's got a meeting with Colonel Foster. Well, Colonel Foster can my show.
No, just in case she wasn't aware.
Yeah, no worries, pal. I just want to get this last comment in. So Ertz will come up and power ahead in the last minute. Do you know what? Wouldn't that be something, eh? Wouldn't that be something?
A statue, if she does.
I just want to get this on Lanzo just right quickly. Tuning out wide, don't mind free roll, just what ball playing midfielders. Yeah, I totally agree. I could get that as well. There wasn't ever toying around whether I put Tuning out on the right hand side and maybe sticking Jackie in there, But then I was like, who's I going to drop out of Bruno and Russo? And I just thought, no, I couldn't do it. The mind of a football manager, eh? Thank you, Lancel, anyway, for saying it's a brilliant show. Thank you, mate. Thank you for being an absolute amazing in the comments, mate. I love some of your questions. Norman as well. I don't think I've ever seen Norman on here before. Let's be mind's going a bit blank.
Benny, you have.
I have, I. Oh, yeah. Well.
Every week.
Every week. Thank you, Norman. And I do apologise, pal. But I've got memory like a fish sometimes. Craney will tell you. Yeah, so just before I wrap it up, as we always do, Matt, just the sort of a rough sort of look to the week ahead, and obviously when things will be tweeted out, like the schedules and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a busy day tomorrow. We've got the weekly catch-up going out about 9:30, 10:ish, so earlier than normal, just due to the early derby kickoff. Obviously, match day content as well tomorrow, Twitter and Instagram. John's back Monday with his match reaction show. Fingers crossed we're not all, I'm not going to say crying. Look at Gareth here. What about me, lad? Everyone's appreciated.
Yeah, you know I love you, Gareth. You know I love you.
About the squad anyway. We're just we're just thanking the other people for tuning in.
Hey, Gareth, I sang your praise the last show, pal. You've had enough. You've had enough.
And you got credit for editing.
Yeah, exactly. I sang your praise for the editing as well in the last show. Can't have it every week, lad. I know, we'll let other people have their turn.
Anyway, as I was saying, so Monday match reaction, Tuesday my show. We're talking about the Tom Gary article where he mentioned about expanding the leagues. So obviously WSL, National League, Championship. Is it about time, and how do we go about it? I know something Stu Barker mentioned, and we put this to Hannah Fryer last week, was could a sort of a combined third tier of North and South work. But what Stu was saying was you'd take the top 7 from each league. So it'd be a 14-team league, but you'd take the top 7 so that it's not like, a massive gulf in sort of class and not a huge, 20-odd team sort of league yet. Again, financially, there might be difficulties, but that's something we'll discuss. Wednesday is going to be good. I've got an in-person interview with a Man United women's player. So there's channel first being able to chat to someone on Wednesday. So look out for that one. Wednesday, that will be dropping at 7:00. We'll be doing that. Thursday, I believe John is speaking to a Blue, a City Blue, that is.
A Bertie.
Yeah, tale of 2 Manchester clubs. He wants to discuss both club seasons so far and compare it. Fans Forum as well is on Friday. And then obviously Saturday, we're back. We've got an Arsenal women goalkeeper with us. So that's 2 players we're giving you this week. So yeah, me and you, Arsenal women's goalkeeper. Not going to say which one. And then next week, obviously it's international break, but we are still doing a little bit of content. We're at FC. I think John will be at West Brom for the Stour Cup game. So yeah, busy week. Some hints. I've been horrible. I've not put it on the schedule. I've not put the name. I've just put it as MU MU women footballer, so I can't give that away just yet. But maybe if you're nice Tuesday, I'll potentially drop that one for you all. But
John Hume's off to Tranmere, apparently.
Not must win. Yes, must not lose. I think a draw minimum. I'm going to say a 2-1 win.
We didn't do our predictions, did we? You're going for a 2-1 win. Yeah. I'm going for 2-0. About 2-0.
Okay, cool.
Right. We better end it there because Matt, of course, has a meeting with Colonel Foster, John Foster, MUFC of this channel. So we best let him get on. But hopefully we'll. I'm not sure if I'll be on the Monday night match reaction show. I'm sure Mr. Foster will let me know. But hopefully, we'll go into Monday night show on the back of bashing some Berties. I'd love that. Hopefully we'll get the win and we'll be putting our name right up in the mixer for the league title. Let's be fair. After today's shambolic result for the men's team, I need some cheering up. So let's get the win tomorrow, Reds, and let's push for that league title. Not just Champions League places, push for that league title because I believe. Thank you for joining us as always. Thank you for the people in the comments, and we shall see you in the next one.
Cheers.